What's up, y'all? My name is Devontae, and I sacrifice my time so you don't have to. Hey, yo, so check it out real quick. Think about this for a second. Just really think about this. How long has it been since Mercedes Moné has announced the fact that she was going to come to AEW? You want to hear something crazy? It wasn't this year. She was sitting in the crowd last year in August. People were spreading rumors about her joining AEW as far back as 2022. We all knew this was going to be inevitable. We all knew where Sasha Banks was going to land. And it's crazy. It's crazy to know that she's been in this company this entire time. Everybody pushing for her. Oh, she's going to be a big star. Oh, WWE's not going to know what they've been missing out on. What's been happening lately? Oh, wait. Let's turn to Kazuchika Okada. Kazuchika Okada, the ace of New Japan Pro Wrestling. A big draw in Japan, right? The land of the rising suns, right? He's the John Cena of New Japan Pro Wrestling is what I heard, right? He's the number one guy in New Japan Pro Wrestling. When it comes to AEW, oh man, people talk about the fact that, no one's gonna focus on these guys because they're not stars, they're not names, they have no charisma, they have no presence. What has Okada been doing so far? What number has he pushed so far? Don't let me explain it to you. You explain it to me. Oh no. But what about Will Ospreay, right? Will Ospreay, the hidden blade himself, right? He can go out there and he could talk up a storm. Oh, he's gonna get in good with the kiddies, right? Oh, you guys who always say that he can't talk or he has no charisma, just go out there and listen to what the audience are saying about him. Notice his reaction. Look at how reciprocal the audience is to him. He's over. He's a star. Is that really the truth? Do you really believe that? Or are you just coping? So, I made a video about a month or two ago where I called them a waste of money. We are now at the point where a waste of money is beyond us. This is a failed experiment. Not just the notion of Mercedes and Kazuchika and Will Ospreay. I mean the whole concept of just signing big name people off of a free agent, or these people who have not been signed by a company, or they've been let go by a company, or they quit a company. The experiment has failed, Tony. We have now learned that you can only get these talents and you use these talents in order to spark a rating for that night. In order to spark a rating for maybe even a couple of weeks if they're a big enough name, like a CM Punk, for an example. But long term, how does it benefit you and your company? See, I think people have this big misconception that AEW happens to be big, or, they're the second biggest rating. You have to understand, all that is a facade. It comes from the fact that they happen to be on television. The popularity that you see for the superstars that enter the arena, this isn't a WWE scenario or a WWE situation where WWE as a brand happens to be the reason why people are coming to watch the television show, or people are coming to the live events to see the superstars, right? That in itself, the WWE brand name in itself, kind of gets siphoned by the rest of the talent, because as they get bigger within the company in itself, they themselves get more popular. And they siphon all the fans who happen to be there already in place as they become fans of them. And AEW is the other way around. You get superstars from WWE, and then you use them to siphon off their popularity to make your brand bigger. Now, unfortunately, that happens to not be the case right now, but a case in point could be someone like a CM Punk, who I talked about in the past plenty of times. I have made my opinions known. But what can be not mistaken is the fact that he absolutely was a draw for the AEW brand in itself, because CM Punk as a name is a bigger name than AEW as a brand. That's why Tony Khan right now, you're not going to see him talk about it. You're not going to see him out there mumbling it to himself like a crazed man, waiting for his pills, bouncing up against the wall like he's mystical or some shit. Nah. You probably might not even see it from even the Young Bucks or people like that, because let's just face facts, they're jealous of Punk. But when it comes to Tony Khan and how he actually feels about the situation, if you don't believe that when he's in his room by himself and there's no one around, This motherfucker is standing up every time he gets some kind of criticism on Twitter or X or whatever you want to call it about his ratings dropping or his viewership numbers dipping or where he used to be about 2 or 3 years ago compared to where he is right now. If you don't believe that Tony Khan is taking a hit off of that finest Colombian and then standing up and going full tray off of Boys in the Hood and just punching the fucking air, you gotta be mistaken. This man misses CM Punk so fucking much. But here's the thing though. Here's the problem. When you had CM Punk, it's not the fact that you lost CM Punk. And the same thing can be said about these guys like Mercedes Moné and Kazuchika and fucking Will and even people who signed back with the company previously, like a Bryan Danielson, for an example. Your idea, or at least the idea that should have been done, was that you should have siphoned their talents, or their notoriety, excuse me, and you should have used it in order to put over the rest of your superstars, right? You kind of did it somewhat with CM Punk and MJF, but let's face facts. CM Punk did not make MJF. MJF made MJF. CM Punk may have helped give him a little bit more viability because of his presence on the television show, but it's not as if there's a situation that you could compare, for an example, to say Austin and Mike Tyson, right? And one may say that's an extreme hyperbole as far as the comparison is considered, but I have to paint out the context for you guys by setting the bar and letting you know where it goes as far as where Punk and MJF lie on that scale when talking about his influence on MJF's career. It's there, it's prevalent, but it's not as strong as you think it might be because MJF in itself was already popular with the AEW crowd as is. Now again, you may argue worldwide, but again, his ratings, that being AEW's ratings, they weren't quite how high they were as time went on throughout 2021 compared to the previous year, or I guess 2022 compared to the previous year. But no, I'm sorry, I said it right, 2001 compared to the forward year, excuse me. But at the same time, it's not to say that MJF himself wasn't at least relevant to professional wrestling fans, because that's pretty much who's watching professional wrestling nowadays anyways, right? But my point being is, though, this whole thing, as far as bringing in outside factors or outside fixtures or outside figures in order to promote on your card and then say that in itself is going to be what's going to have people draw, it's over with. It's over with. That mindset, that mentality, it's over with. It's not just a waste of money, like I said. It's a waste of valuable resources in regards to television time, because really all you're doing is taking away from the people who already started off with your company. And really what you're doing is you're taking those same resources that you're going to put into these new talents and take away from the old talents and get nothing back, because in the end of the day, your brand still sucks, and those talents you brought in, they don't have a legitimate following. The following from those talents, they are from whatever company they came from. Now granted, they're going to follow that talent, but don't get it mixed up, don't get it mixed out. They are still going to follow the company or where they originally came from, as far as where that talent was originally from, because that's how they became a fan to begin with. And that's not even to say about the talent also. It goes well past the talent too. The talent, yeah, that makes it the crux of the argument, but also the wrestling companies of themselves, right? You have Tony Khan right now working with New Japan Pro Wrestling. You have him working with CMLL and all these other companies, right? And it's like you're making up all these quote-unquote dream matches, which is the most overused, over-broadening fucking term I've ever heard in professional wrestling, because nothing in professional wrestling is a fucking dream match, because in order to be a dream match, one will have to be a star. In order to be a star, you'd have to get over with the masses. In order to get over with the masses, that would mean you have to be a household name, and no one's even fucking close to a household name that currently resides in professional wrestling from a full-time standpoint. Mouthful, I know. But you're working with these two wrestling companies, and you're showcasing them throughout the show and shit like that. But does anyone necessarily give a fuck? Honestly, this has been some of the most boring television I can remember, and that's saying something, out of AEW these past few weeks, because of their constant insistence of focusing on the Forbidden Door, which I get it, it's your pay-per-view, you have to build it up, but it comes at a consequence, because it's promoting talent and it's promoting a brand, multiple brands, that I don't give a shit about. I don't watch New Japan Pro Wrestling. I don't watch CMLL. I watch AEW, unfortunately. And I would like to see, if I'm going to watch the programming that I really don't want to watch because it's going to bore me to fucking tears, at the very least, give me the talent that I originally thought was going to be on the show. Give me that talent instead. And what do? We focus on other companies. So literally, when you look at the AEW product as is, really think about it for a second. Really sit back and think about it from a percentile standpoint. I'm gonna just take a swing, just a swing, right? I am going to guess that 10% of the AEW originals are currently at the moment constantly featured on AEW. Is that a fair assessment? 10%? 10% of the AEW originals. That means talent who did not come from TNA or WWE or New Japan Pro Wrestling or CMLL. I'm not counting places like MLW. I'm not counting places like Pro Wrestling Guerrilla. Those are outright fucking indie promotions. I'm talking about TNA, right? I'm talking about CMLL. I'm talking about New Japan Pro Wrestling. I'm talking about WWE, which includes NXT. I'm not talking about MLW or any of those other fucking indie promotions. 10%, I'm gonna just throw it out there. 10% are AEW originals. Does anyone see that to be a problem? Am I tripping right now? Am I tripping to believe that 10% of your actual talent resides currently on your product or featured every fucking week? That's not crazy to believe, right? Maybe, and the thing is, maybe I'm kind of like lowballing myself here. I could be going a little bit lower, right? Or maybe I'm highballing myself. I could be going a little bit lower at the moment. Maybe I can even say 5%. Really, off the top of my head, as far as prominent stars are considered, I can only think of the Elite and MJF. That's it. As far as prime AEW stars constantly shown on television, the Elite minus Kazuchika Okada and MJF. So essentially MJF, Jungle Boy, and the Bucks. That's it. Everybody else, as far as prominently featured on the television show, are from different promotions that were already established, that they themselves established that before coming to AEW. I don't know how you don't see that to be a problem. I don't know how you don't see it to be a problem to spend millions upon millions of dollars on other talents in order to get a boost for that week. Because essentially, what you're essentially telling me when you do shit like that, it's kind of like when you play Grand Theft Auto and like you don't have anything going for you when you first start out, but then you go in the store and you buy all those shark cards, and now all of a sudden you could buy literally everything that everybody else grinded years to get. It's like you didn't get it because you were fucking good. You got it because you bought all these fucking things through the shark card, right? So when the time comes for you to actually use that weapon, you're not gonna know what to fucking do. When the time comes to know how to use that car properly when you race, you're not gonna know what to fucking do. You're not gonna know how to play effectively compared to a person who had to grind to get what they got, right? And I look at the same thing with AEW. You're not gonna know what to do as far as, legitimately engaging with your audience, because all you're doing essentially is just siphoning from other companies, and that in itself is what's getting you the ratings. So you're just buying ratings essentially, right? That's what you're doing. You're buying ratings. You're buying viewership numbers. That's what you're doing, which is nothing bad if you got something that you could tie up with and to get someone else over, but that's never the case. The focal point in itself is what you use to buy the money for. And like I said, do whatever you want to do, but when the time comes for people to have to actually watch your product full on and have to engage with your product, and now that the honeymoon phase is over with, when the Mercedes show up, when the Punks show up, when the Danielsons show up, when the Adam Coles show up, when the Ember Moons show up, when the Swerve Stricklands, when the Keith Lees show up, we can go on and on and on and on. Like I said, the Monets, the Kazuchkas, the Ospreys, when they show up, inevitably, and that honeymoon phase fizzles out, what then? Because you're going to put yourself right back in the same predicament all over again, where you still have to showcase these talents, where something has to be presented in order for you to hang your hat on, and then use that in order to promote the show for the next coming weeks. Because like I said, you paid $1 million essentially, in some cases even more than $1 million, for that boost in the ratings that week. But what does that get you in 2 or 3 weeks? What does that get you in 4 weeks? Like I said, you're working with all these promotions in CMLL and New Japan Pro Wrestling just to build out the Forbidden Door. You're losing viewership numbers because of this shit. People can say all they want to. Oh no, Devontae, it's not. I'm gonna say this one more time. There are people who watch your show, don't know why. I know I do it for my own specific reasons, but there are people who watch your godforsaken show outside of your niche audience. And those people you run away when you start promoting shit that they don't want to see. When you start promoting shit that people don't give a fuck about. When you think you're so fucking cool that you think you can just do whatever you goddamn want to while ignoring the small fraction. I mean, the casual people who are just coming to watch your show are niche within your niche. And you outcast them. You essentially said you book for the sickos. You book for people who don't give a flying fuck at all about your nonsense booking. You book for those people who don't or who do care about your nonsense booking. And you just take those people who want to see some kind of change, want to see some type of similarities within WWE as far as cohesive goes, and you push them to the side and you say that they're irrelevant and that they don't matter. Then you get upset when your viewership numbers go down because you don't have any stories prepared. You don't have any feuds prepared. You don't have any AEW originals prepared because you just took talent from other shows. And therefore, that thing that got you the rating you focused highly on, and then it became, kind of boring at a certain point, or at the very least, no one gave a shit about it anymore. And now you're back to status. You're right back to step one, where you have to do this shit all over again. Until eventually you get to the point to where you're at right now after 4 years of doing this shit, 5 years really, and there's no one else to get. And you hit a brick wall. And you end up suffering for it. So then it comes right back to the point of what the fuck are you spending your money on? It's over. It's over, Tony. People talk about, like I said, the wasting of money on these three talents in particular, like a Monet or an Okada or an Ospreay. I say the grift is dead. I say the end of an era has occurred at the moment. No matter what you get in your ratings or in your viewership numbers later on today, you'll never recover. You'll never get back to the priority of where you once were. You're out here with all these talents battling NXT for supremacy as far as being third in the weekly cable television numbers when it comes to professional wrestling. Think about that for a second. Your flagship brand, is competing with the developmental brand for a third spot with all the talent that you have currently at the moment. We're talking about people like Chris Jericho, Bryan Danielson, Edge. No matter how you feel about him, he's a name still. Jon Moxley, Sasha Banks, Paige, previously CM Punk, previously Cody Rhodes. All of these crazy amounts of names. But to be fair, fucking with Tony Khan, he can get Stone Cold Steve Austin and somehow still get about 500,000 views. Because the cat don't know what he's doing. Everything he touches turns to shit. Everything he tries to make, he destroys. And no amount of money is ever going to get away from that fact right there, Tony. I would like to say that I would like to see him do better, but what's the point? We've been saying do better for like 3 years now, right? Do better is criticizing Tony Khan. Do better is telling him, well, maybe I should double down on my fucking stupidity because I am a billionaire after all. And as long as I have all this money, I can do whatever the fuck I want to do. Well, okay. Keep up with that mentality and keep funding your little side diva project, because I've never seen a professional wrestling company go from 1 million all the way fucking down to 100,000. Well, I guess TNA did that, didn't they? You get what I'm trying to say though, right? Maybe we can keep on the pattern. Maybe we can keep the tradition alive where another wrestling company falls victim to WWE because of their own greed, their own vein, and their own ego. Or prove me wrong, which I highly doubt you're going to do. But with that being said, let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. How do you feel about today's commentary? Do you agree with me as far as my perspective is considered? I mean, all I'm saying in this video is you run the well dry. There's nowhere to go. No easy pickings at this point. There's only so much you can do once all the talent pool's been picked up, and now, well, you picked up so many people and you didn't take advantage of the time when they were hot to push one of your, commodities that currently reside in your company. And now your commodities are still irrelevant, and you've now made the talent that were relevant for like a week or two. Now you made them irrelevant. And all of this could have been done with. All this could have been rectified easily if you just would have not listened to your wrestling fans. You would have just not listened to the people, your sycophants within your audience who tells you all that matters is what we talked about back in 1994 in our AOL chat rooms when looking at the Wrestling Observer newsletter and checking out some fucking irrelevant match somewhere in New Japan Pro Wrestling that happens to be rated 7 stars back in 1994. It's that mentality that, ironically enough, was what did you in. Don't blame me. I'm just the messenger. As always, my name is Devontae, and I'll be catching you guys later on. I'll be back for the ratings and viewership number reviews. Till then, a deuces and a P. Eyes.